Where do you think the NBA should expand?
Oh man, I think one is going to be Vegas. I think they're already growing. They're growing right now. Once you bring the NFL, you can grow anything else.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And on today's Wind Up Wednesday episode, in segment one, Adam Silver catches up fans with NBA news and notes. And in segment two, WNBA prepares for the playoffs as well as shares their discontent with their commissioner. And in segment three, we take a deep dive into the moves of the Pac 2. But first, let's get started. NBA preseason timeline, September 24th. First allowable date for the Celtics and the Nuggets to begin training because they'll be playing in Abu Dhabi. Shout out to my man Rob Pfeiffer. And then September 25th, training camps open for everybody. September 30th, we've got the first allowable dates for all other veterans to report. October 1st, training camp opens. October 4th, preseason games begin. October 4th and 6th, you got the NBA games in Abu Dhabi. You've got the Canada series starting October 6th, October 12th through the 13th. You've got the Hall of Fame enshrinement weekend. Preseason formally begins October 18th. Roster day is October 21st, and the start of the season is October 22nd. Our commissioner, Adam Silver, talked about NBA expansion. With me today, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, where do you think the NBA should expand?
Oh man, I think one is going to be Vegas. I think they're already growing. They're growing right now. Once you bring the NFL, you can grow anything else. And the soil are very, fertile, ready to go. But then, I think everyone's talking about Seattle or Washington. I don't know if you go out there, man. I don't know. I've heard them talking about Baltimore. I've heard, other teams like that. I know Vegas is the right one, and I guess anything else is a bonus because, but I think Vegas is number one right now.
Well, the Sonics didn't lose their team because of a lack of fan support.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Las Vegas and Seattle, but I'll tell you a city that gives me pause because I think the NBA wants to go there, and that's Mexico City. So to be able
Mm.
to have franchise in Toronto, all of the U.S., and then a team in Mexico City, I think the NBA is kind of trying to figure that piece out. What do you think about a team in Mexico City?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. There's a lot of good basketball over there, especially around in New Mexico, and then you also have in UNLV. So you have guys that are, they're accustomed seeing over there. Um, we'll see. It'd be one of those things that could, draw to a team. A lot of guys would buy low on a lot of land. What is there in New Mexico? I don't know, but it
No,
could.
no, no. Mexico City, Mexico.
Oh, oh, Mexico. Yeah,
Mexico
I think they should
City.
totally do it. Oh yeah, for sure. They should totally do it. They should totally do it. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
North America, you know what I'm saying? Not just the United States. So they're making this whole like best team in the world, world champions thing. They're taking, but that opens it up. Then you have, teams in Belgium and Germany and England and, so that I like it. Let's make it a global sport. I love it. There's enough talent that we can do these things, and there's enough money to share it around. So I'm all about it.
Adam Silver also touched on a couple of other things, including NBA ownership. So the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Boston Celtics are currently involved in the sales process. Um, Will, any thoughts about new leadership coming into the NBA, and what would you look for in an owner from the fans' perspective as you just went through this with your beloved Washington Commanders?
I guess you want to see a guy that has some success. At least he has some success in terms of getting to the playoffs. A guy like Josh Harris, for example. He hasn't won a championship, but you've seen that Philly is a respectable team and organization. They're constantly in the playoffs. They're constantly in the final conversation. You also want to, and you want a guy who's not a jerk. You want to have a good face on. You want to have a good guy that I'm not thinking like, man, like, I don't. What does he kill puppies? Like, how did he make his money? Like, what did he do? And you want to see guys who are open to look at stop doing the same thing over and over. You want guys to believe in analytics. You want to have experience. The best thing is, as an owner, you have to be good at hiring. You have to bring in the right people because you're not going to be making the sauce. You're not going to be making the patties. You're not going to be making the fries. You're going to be hiring the guys to do those things. So if you have a good idea of what your vision is, then I think you can hire the right people, and then those people can then flourish through the organization.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking to diversify the owner pool, and that includes females and minorities. Um, if you can see it, you can be it. So I'm looking for, again, a little more diversity. And I'm sure as the T Wolves and Celtics go through their process, these things will come up. Last thing for this segment, Adam Silver was also asked about his New York Times op-ed piece from about a decade ago when he came out in favor of legalized sports betting. I don't do a lot of NBA betting, a lot of games, a lot of areas where football is event television. Any thoughts about the NBA and sports betting? Because last season we've had some issues with some players. What say you, sir?
The process will start to fill itself out. It'll start to make sense for people as they understand more of the technology. Um, and remember, now we have a lot more data than we had back when, like, what's the dude from the Cardinals? I forgot his name, who was cheating, who was betting for the Cardinals in the baseball. I forgot his name.
Oh, Pete
Um,
Rose.
yeah, Pete Rose. Sorry about that. Yeah,
It's
but
okay.
now we have so much information. I mean, we collect IP, IPs. We collect geolocation information. We collect, you know, anomalies where people can say, "Hey, this guy bet on who and what." So I think we have so much more data. We'll start to see that people know that they can't get over on that stuff. Honestly, I don't think the guys, the professional athletes, are looking at that stuff. I think they're more like, I'm gonna help the guy out, hey, because I did well. Everybody took over on a 30. Of course, I went for 40. Hey, shout out to everybody. I'm trying to score as much as I can. But we can't act like we can't act like it's no longer an underground kind of thing. It can't be more like this, like secrecy, like, hey man, you got any sports betting? Like, no, this is in the open. This is commercials. There's moms, there's dads, there's adults in college, there's old ladies with a little bit of money they got. They're all sport betting, and I think the more transparency that
Hmm.
these companies show that, hey, look, we catch these dudes. If you try to cheat, if you try to do these things, we'll catch you. And the biggest thing is they just try to keep with their integrity. And I think they're doing a good job at that. And I have to go harsh punishments, no games, and that's the biggest thing for us, because once we start seeing that it's being tainted and that the integrity is being questioned, then we'll pull our monies away, and that's billions of dollars they lose.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to take it more seriously, and the data will allow them catch all the more people trying to be slick. But I think they know what they're doing a little bit.
Yeah, and for us again, that's why we always say strictly for entertainment purposes only. Here's our process, and as you said, Will, the more transparent, the more structures, the more here are the rules, the more taxes that come
Mm-hmm.
with it. I think we'll have fewer issues because of all of the data, and it's because of all of the data that I don't do all of this stuff, because who has time to process all of that? So with that, fans, in segment two, WNBA news and notes, and yes, they are paused by the commissioner. We'll talk about that when we get right back to the Ad Coaches podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasafeproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Coaches Podcast in segment 2, WNBA news and notes. Let's go to power rankings. 1, New York. 2, Minnesota. 3, Connecticut. 4, Las Vegas. 5, Seattle. 6, Indiana. 7, Phoenix. And number 8, the Mystics have snuck in. Chicago's on a free fall. They're 9. Atlanta is 10. Dallas is 11. And the Sparks are 12. Who's hot? New York's hot. Minnesota's hot. Connecticut's hot. Las Vegas is hot. And the Mystics are on fire. Who's not? Chicago has dipped. Los Angeles has had a bad season. Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix. So this week, the regular season ends and the playoffs begin. So next week, we'll have our full playoff preview. Any dark horses, not favorites, but anybody, Will, do you think is going to, make it interesting, so to speak, in the playoffs?
Man, I mean, you can't always count out the aces. I know they're not the top 3. I think they're 4 right now, but you can't count out Asia Wilson. Can't count out the Kelsey Plum. Keep an eye out. Because they may have a position where they're not going. They have a good path to their championship. Seattle. You can't sleep on Seattle. I'm not too worried about Washington. They catch fire, but they could and I would say upset, but they could, give some struggle to New York and extend the series longer than they wanted. But I think for the most part, it's gonna happen. The rest is supposed to happen. I don't think there's going to be too many upsets.
Okay. So last week, as our story of the week is about WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and how last week during an interview, she made some comments that failed to condemn racist and vindictive behavior when it comes to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. She did make a social media retraction, but leading's hard. And Kathy Engelbert has acknowledged that when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in the league, we didn't have a lot of social media. And although the racial implications were, out there, it wasn't as widespread because social media makes everything widespread. The players, Aces point guard Chelsea Gray said in part, I just think it's a disservice for the majority of the league to not talk about how this is going on, how it's being consumed, and how Black women are being portrayed. Aces forward Alicia Clark said, I think there was a missed opportunity. Breanna Stewart also mentioned, a missed opportunity for the commissioner. We have covered the NBA since the inception of the show. We also anticipated a lot of concerns in terms of how they're handling Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Any thoughts you have about how the WNBA's leadership has handled this season overall?
I think you look at it differently because there's different trajectories of different organizations. For example, I've learned from history, certain kings are better because they're better during peacetime, and there's wartime kings, and they do better for war. Kathy Engelbert, she was good when the WNBA was not making well. It was not doing any money. Nobody was looking at them. She was doing her job. Now there's a lot more money coming in. There's a lot more eyes, things. There's a lot more political influences in what people are saying. I don't know if she's the leader for the future. Because, I don't know if she's built, when she got her job, everything was like, hey, this is the WNBA. We're building this thing. Here's where we're at. And now it's becoming this thing that's a lot bigger that she may not be able to handle or manage. because she just may not have the experience of world life. I don't know how much time she's experienced, racism. There's people out there who just don't see stuff like that. I'm not saying that she's a trumper or she's a bad person. I'm just think she's not the person who is, I would say, ready to take the WNBA to the next level that they're trying to achieve. She may just have to be a dinosaur from a growing previous organization, but they still start looking forward to get somebody to get better leadership. In my opinion, she just does not that she's not a bad leader. It's just not the leader that they need, that they want for their trajectory going forward.
Yeah, one of the things I like to say about leadership is hard. It is hard to lead. And one of the skills you have to have as a leader is the anticipatory skills to see what's coming next. So when Caitlin Clark came into the league, we even said on the show, man, who booked that early schedule? Because if you recall, they came in and they struggled a lot. Again, not saying you manipulate schedules, but you kind of have to take advantage of these things. And the marketing piece, I just thought the ball was dropped and they was still working on charter flights. And then the national media started paying more attention and they've just mishandled a lot of things. So as you said, I'm just paused at how they're going to move forward because you got contracts coming up. You just got the media cycle that they did just signed for X amount of years. We've got expansion coming up. So there's a lot of things coming in. Plus, from the player standpoint, this upcoming basketball season for college is going to be exciting. And there's
Mm-hmm.
names people are watching, and you're going to have an influx of more and more younger talent. And how are you going to deal with it? Because the NBA is the reason why they don't let high school players in. It's because the old heads want their contracts. So just a lot to deal with. It's hard. Uh, I'm gonna hope she has a good team around her to continue to move these things forward. Because again, it's not easy to do this. So, fans, in segment three, we're going to flip to the college side, talk about the Pac 2/6/ potential 8, because that's going to have an impact on college basketball. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment three, we're going to take a deeper dive into the new Pac-12 or however. So, well, let's get your scorecard ready. Who's already there? Oregon State, Washington State. Okay, there's your two. And then who will they officially add? They will add Boise State. They will add San Diego State. They will add Colorado State. They will add Fresno State, which gets them the 6. The bottom line, the Beavers and the Cougars are poaching the Mountain West best team. In the modern realignment area, Washington State and Oregon State were the only two Power 5 schools to not get a show when everybody moved. Okay. So remember, they went to court, got their money, and now they're trying to rebuild. And of course, the Shawshank Redemption rules: get busy living or get busy dying. Conference realignment has been tough. You've lost out on things like Kansas, Missouri in football, Texas and Texas A&M But
Hmm.
now they're back in the SEC. And for a local person like me, Duke hasn't played Maryland in basketball since 2014. And for Maryland people, that was a big deal. Duke, it was another game. Money talks. The two schools are armed with $250 million to pay off a lot of schools' exit fees. They still need more teams because the NCAA says you need to have 8 to have a conference. So their commissioner, Teresa Gould, still needs to add 2 more teams, and they need to do so fairly quickly. So, do you add UTSA? Do you add Rice? Do you add a North Texas? Do you add a Memphis? Do you add an Air Force? Do you add a UNLV? But if you add UNLV, do you have to bring Nevada with? I don't know because everybody's got a state structure in terms of their schools. And then on the other hand, hey, the Mountain West. You're going to lose Boise State. You're going to lose Colorado State. You're going to lose Fresno State. You're going to lose San Diego State. But North Dakota State's pretty daggum good in football. You could move them up. And South Dakota State is pretty good in football. They're FCS schools. You can move them up and try to replace them. It's a lot. And on our college shows, sometimes we have to cross reference who's in which conference. So, with all of that information, Will, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Pac 2, 6, 8, 12 realignment?
Yeah, I like it. I think there's a lot of different schools out there that are going to get a chance to show show what they got. There's two teams that I'm even thinking about, like Appalachian State and North Dakota State. Why aren't y'all
App
playing in the?
State's in North Carolina.
I know, but I'm saying like you can still put teams from the SBS. I mean, every team that's FBS trying to get to FCS, no, trying to get
FCS
FCS to
to go
FBS.
to
Yes.
FBS.
Yeah, see it at to FBS. I mean, you would look at an opportunity, say, hey, shoot, we've been hanging around in D1 AA for a minute. Let's see if we can get in to get some more of this money. Even if you are, like, again, it doesn't matter where you are anymore, coach. You can be in the ACC and be in Cal, so it doesn't matter
Right.
where you are.
So do you
So
call Cal and Stanford and say you're trying to come back? Do you call them?
no, because it doesn't do anything for the brand. They're like two ugly girls. Like I'm not calling them over. I don't care. Yeah, they're older. Yeah, no, I'm not calling them over. Try and get younger organizations, try teams that are trying to blow up. Just try and change it, just try and become because, before I think in the 80s, Pac-12 wasn't really nothing anyway. I mean, USC was good, but after that, it was like, there was really no strong teams. I mean, Cal was okay, but there was really no like, gauntlet that people would have to go through. USC is, has been history. Marcus Allen and OJ and those guys, whatever. So I think moving forward with all this money coming out and all the way that you can show games and people can stream games and watch games. I mean, shoot, do your own thing. Don't and only bring in teams that meet and that work your vision as a conference. What do you want to be as a conference?
So
So I
that
think
means no New Mexico State.
it may not work for them. It may not because what you want to do is you want to bring in teams and schools that have that travel well and watch, and no matter where they are in the world, they'll pay money to see their games. So that's what I would look at. I would look at alumni, how alumni come back. I would look at how many people try to get to the school depending on where they're at in the United States. So there's a lot of metric that you can read and look and say, okay, well, maybe we'll take a look at New Mexico. Everybody's trying to go to New Mexico all of a sudden, or maybe he's looking at the other school. They get a lot of good people around the world, and they have people So there's a lot of information getting the invitation. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel like, shoot, if you're just trying to catch some of this billions of dollars, man, you come up with a great plan and you just try to execute it.
And do you see once again that football is ruining basketball and football doesn't care because I got to think you got to call Gonzaga if you're the Pac 12 and say, would you like to be a basketball only school? Can you call Santa Clara and say, would you like to be a basketball only school? Because the West Coast Conference has, no, no, not Santa Clara, St. Mary's. You can get
Yeah.
Gonzaga and St. Mary's in the Pac whatever for basketball, because I know the Big 12's called Gonzaga. So this is crazy. but football runs it. So again, on behalf of our captain for life, Will Cott, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.